But here we go. Telemere, structured telemetry library for Clojure script. The next generation of Timber handles structured and traditional logging, tracing, and basic performance monitoring with a simple unified API. Enables systems that are observable, robust, and debuggable. It represents the refinement of culmination of ideas of 12 years, Timber, Tuft, Truss, etc. I think I
Yeah, the
see a
thing about
theme in the
teeth.
name. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty funny. Telemetry derives from the Greek tele and metron, first a collection of data for transmission to other systems for monitoring analysis. Logs are the most common form of software telemetry. So think of telemetry as the superset of logging-like activities that help monitor and understand software systems. Has anybody here used Timber or Tuft or Truss?
I've used
I've used
Timber.
Timber. Yeah.
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 Yeah, I really liked it, other than the fact that it had a lot of dependencies. That was
So
my
is that
only.
annoying just because it made the Uber jar big? Like it just,
Yeah, yeah.
oh, okay.
But it's great because it was really nice to be able to configure everything through an Eden file. I think it was. I remember. Currently, I'm not using it, but if Telemere is a next generation replacement for Timber, then and it's doesn't have as many dependencies, I think I'd be interested in trying it.
Sure. Yeah. Did you, yeah, as I say, did you use it in like a production app or was it more of a?
Well, nothing that I've done is really production yet, but I mean production meaning that other people were using. I certainly used it inside of Matchcraft, and
Okay.
that was workable.
What about you, Edwin? Did you say you use it too?
Yeah, I did. Not for production stuff, generally just more toy projects. But yeah, it was good. Fairly simple to set up, although if you had a lot of config, I guess your config Eden file could get large. Uh, it's been a long time since I actually played with it though. So I'm actually kind of curious what's different with
What's
Telemere.
different? Yeah.
Yeah.
At least at the time when I used it, the configuration was at least much easier to understand than the whatever.
Log4j or
Yeah, any of those.
yeah.
Things.
Logback with the
Yeah.
XML. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you kind of have to learn like an entirely new like DSL to figure out how to
Yeah, and then
configure
also
this stuff.
all the terminology and what you could do with it was all different.
That's cool. Yeah. I've used like core logging with logback, but then right now we're mostly using Mulog for event-based logging. So it's all JSON logs that we get into New Relic. So I'm wondering what the comparison is between this and that.
Oh, how do you find Mulog, Nate?
It's relatively, we have a wrapper around it that adds logging levels and does some level of like configuration. So the actual amount of configuration we need to do is just like probably like 4 or 5 lines, mostly just to override certain Java namespaces and say they're only error level or above, like certain ones that are super chatty. But on the rest of it, it's pretty much baked into our wrapper, which is a relatively thin wrapper, but it is a wrapper that kind of does some configuration. So um, we I think structured logs are amazing, like because you can get a lot more information out of them. And then searching, especially New Relic, we used to put them into Elasticsearch, which was somewhat good, but New Relic has a much better support for flattening the nested event into a bunch of field names, and so you can use like an SQL syntax to filter in. I mean, it's very powerful, very powerful combination. So I recommend structured logging.
Agree. Yeah, structured logging is great. I wonder if Telemere does that as well.
I would
Hope so. Yeah.
There's a documentation link. It says extensive beginner-oriented documentation. Maybe that's a good place to start.
There we go. Cool. Getting started. Structured telemetry library and next generation replacement for Timber helps enable the creation of Clojure script systems. That's one thing I don't think Mulog, I think Mulog's only Clojure. I don't think it does Clojure script. Highly observable, robust, and debuggable. Key function is to help capture data in your running programs and facilitate processing of that data into useful information. Okay. Basic unit of data is the signal. Signals include traditional log messages, structured log messages, and events. So this is what new log is all about, was events. So Telemere doesn't make hard distinction between these. They're all just signals with various attributes, represented by plain Clojure script maps with those attributes. Fundamentally, all signals occur or are observed at a particular location in your code. They occur or are observed within a particular state or context, and they convey something of value about that state and context. They may be independently valuable in the aggregate, or valuable in association with other signals. While tracing, yes, tracing. I haven't done much tracing. Has anybody done tracing like with OpenTrace or OpenTracing or any of those systems?
No.
I've heard a lot of promise of like you can trace execution across different microservices, but I haven't really like felt the value yet. Heard it's cool though.
Does Open Telemetry do that?
I think Open Telemetry is one of the ways of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the basic tools of Telemere are signal creators, conditionally create signal maps that points in your code, and signal handlers to conditionally handle those signal maps, analyze, write to console file, queue, database, etc. This is just a generalization of traditional logging, which conditionally creates message strings that points in your code and usually dumps those message strings somewhere for future parsing by human eyes. Yes. Parsing of traditional log messages is often expensive, fragile, and lossy. So a key principle of structured logging is to avoid parsing. There you go, structured logging. Instead, observing data types and structures wherever possible. Telemere embraces this principle by making such preservation natural and convenient. Okay. Noise reduction. Not all data is equally valuable. Too much low-level data is often actively harmful, especially to process, to store, and to query. Adding noise just interferes with better data, harming your ability to understand your system. Telemere embraces this principle of making effective filtering likewise natural and convenient. Filtering. Telemere uses the term filtering as a superset of both random sampling and other forms of data exclusion reduction. Any other thoughts so far?
Oh, seems good.
To conclude, Telemere handles structured and traditional logging, tracing, and basic performance monitoring with a simple unified API that preserves data types and structures with rich signals and offers effective noise reduction with signal filtering. Telemetry and telomere. Telomere is a genetic feature commonly found at the end of linear chromosomes that helps to protect and chromosomal integrity. Interesting.
Is that like a checksum?
I think it's like a biological checksum. That sounds like a pretty good analog. Hmm. All right, so add the relevant dependency to your project. Set up your namespace imports. Okay. Wonder if there's like a little place we can just drop some code in. I mean, there was some here on the first page. Why don't we set up a project, huh? Nothing like what Copilot or what sorry, not Copilot. I've been experimenting with Copilot. What version should we use? Let's see here.
So what do the dependencies look like? No.
I wonder.
Oh, some of them look like they're for like JavaScript. I mean, Clojure script, I should say.
Yeah, it's got the Clojure compiler.
Yeah, and the Google Clojure, yeah, the Google Clojure compiler and so on.
Let's see. It said it couldn't find that. Wonder how you would get that. What's the right what are the right coordinates, huh?
It said somewhere that there was a examples CLJC.
Let's see. You can look on.
There's an
Yeah.
examples.cljc file in the
Oh, I see.
top level directory of the GitHub. Oh,
Examples.
The beta 14 looks like it is
Here.
on Clojure's.
Oh, no, it's got the right. Am I not using the right depths here? Did I go too far?
oh yeah, I think it didn't. The V in front is you don't need.
Ah, there it is. There we go. All right.
Nate, can you take a look at the, see there's a examples.cljc file in the top level of the GitHub repo? That you can just use, I think.
All right. This will send a message to the, okay, let me start up the, the log buffer here. So there's the log. Where was the, there it is, getting started. Require default config. Telemere is configured sensibly out of the box. See section 3 for configuration, customization. Okay. Default minimum level is info, signal flow level or no op. Default signal handlers. Signal handlers process created signals to do something with them, analyze them, write them to console file, QDB, etc. So CLJ always, console handler that prints to out or error. So there you go. So I evaluate it, it logs. This will do the same, but only when the current level is info. And if I can do debug, nothing. Default signal intakes. And Telemere can create signals from relevant external API calls. So for Clojure, from the SLF4J API, tools logging, okay. Wonder how that's gonna, how that would be parsed out, you know? Like what the event would look like, because it probably would just be like, here's the timestamp and here's the log message. Like streams of Telemere.
Yeah, interesting. I didn't realize it was integrating with like SLF4J as input. I guess I thought that it was going to output stuff to SLF4J, but it's kind of the other way around.
Yeah, where there's an SLF4J bridge that bridges into Telemere. We, in a similar vein, we use mulog everywhere, but there's lots of libraries that only use like core, like not even core tools logging. It uses like log4j. And so we use a log4j bridge that bridges from anything that goes to log4j or SLF4j into mulog. We found like a wrapper library to do that.
Yeah, I think
So this I'm guessing is for
Timber
like,
also had the same thing.
yeah, this is for non-Clojure Java library logging that you can't change and add Telemere to. You can run check intakes to validate. Check intakes. Tools logging, no. SLF4J, present nil. All right. Oh, no, we lost J. Hopefully it'll come back. What do you think? We should continue on reading the docs, or should we go down the examples? Any inklings?
Examples, maybe? Maybe we can flip back to the docs if we don't understand something.
Easily construct messages. Oh. Construct messages. Here's a constructed message. So like simple interpolation. Action ID.
But like
Yes.
like Edwin was saying, this looks like you need to have you're putting Telemere calls in your code, which means that, does that mean that everyone, like if you're writing a library, for example, any users of your library now have to use Telemere?
I would assume that you would use Telemere in your application code. And if you're writing a library, then I would say you would probably use core or tools.logging and let because tools logging is more
Right.
it's not as high fidelity, but it's more like a
Commonly accepted
yeah,
kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that's the idea is you would use this instead of tools logging for your
Yeah,
for your
but I'm
logging.
like, if what Edwin was sort of alluding to maybe was that it would be nice if we could have an outgoing bridge to tools logging. So
Yeah, I see
as
what you mean.
well. Yeah.
And well, I think one problem is that the tools logging is under the assumption that your log message is just a string.
Mm.
And so it'd probably have to serialize it to a string in some way by either JSON or whatever. And then, because tools logging isn't a logging framework, it's just a wrapper around like log4j or SLF4j or like it's just a bridge too. I bet you could make, so there's this handler. I bet if there isn't already a handler, I bet there is, you could just make a handler that takes Telemetry stuff and sends it to tools logging.
Yeah. I vaguely recall there's something in tools logging that allowed you to log structured logs as well, but I'm not sure I can find that right now.
Yeah, that would be good.
Oh, I think it's the readable tools, Clojure tools logging readable, clojure.tools.logging.readable, which basically just uses PRSTR to log a
serialize.
structure in a way that it can be read back in.
Gotcha.
So anyway, so that's
Yeah,
not
so that
quite,
would be a way of getting it
yeah.
to line oriented, but then be able to pull it back into structured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, back.
So they attach an
Telemere.
ID. So instead of a keyword, a map is the first level or the first argument. So everything's the same except for there's this my ID. And this sigma is structured data. Oh, interesting. It puts the data on the second line.
It does.
What happens if you remove the string?
This string?
Yeah.
Single map arg is usually a mistake, so this isn't allowed. Please use two arg call if this is intentional.
To our call?
What's the two arg call? Yeah,
So
either
nil.
message or level in message or a map in message. So this log, I think, assumes that you're logging a string.
Okay. What if you do nil for the string? Is that, I guess it could be equivalent if you only want to log data. All right. I guess that would do it. Well, that wouldn't hurt to just put in some kind of descriptive string, I suppose.
Right. Some description of what you're trying to log.
Yeah.
Okay. Capture. So T with signal. Executes given form, trapping errors. Returns the last signal created by the form. Useful for
That's a
debugging
macro.
and testing. Oh, hello. Got ourselves an object or a map.
Macro magic.
Wonder if we
That's
put
good.
this level or this stuff in here. What does it get us?
So
Where does data show up? There you go, data.
does that mean that if you use with signal, it doesn't send out the signal, or
I think so. I think it just
and it
returns
just
the
returns
the signal as itself as a data structure. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Here, watch. Let me do it again. What was it? This one?
Yeah.
Because it returns the signal, but look right here, it actually logged it. It actually sent it
Oh,
out.
it does both. Hmm. Oh, maybe that's the with signal. So it's basically just doing the thing and returning. It's just changing the return type. So the return is, instead of just returning true, it's actually returning the actual signal object.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess, yeah, it says capture for debugging testing. So maybe that's the idea, that you could, in addition to sending the signal,
So
return
you
it
can
back.
capture it
Yeah.
if you're like we have lots of code where it's like run this code and make sure this thing was logged because we want to make sure that that particular event gets logged out. So we have like a capturing.
Mm-hmm.
But in our case, the capturing doesn't send it anywhere else. It only captures.
Mm.
But I think capturing and sending at the same time is not terribly bad.
I mean, hmm.
Well, yeah, but I think your kind of capture is also a useful thing,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you want to test something, right? So it doesn't send out signals to random
Right. I mean, it's usually in
places.
test code, so it's
Yeah.
not hurtful
Yeah.
to send it
Yeah.
to other places. And there have been times where, like I have like a capture the logs and do the thing, and then I just have like grab the logs you captured and print them out because I
Mhm.
don't know what like I want to like I want to see how to, what values to test. So, um, having them printed out would be useful, I think, but I don't know. Having them printed out or not is probably going to be the opposite of what you want at the time. Let's see. Let bindings available to data and message only paid for when allowed at minimum level and other filtering criteria. This is CLJ Condo is going, what? I don't know what these are. So you can let kind of like how you can do colon let in do seek or for macros.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
So I'm assuming that if the level is below whatever the level is in your configuration, then the log macro will like not evaluate any of the code inside.
So then if this is trace, yeah, it doesn't run there's no calculating down here.
That's cool.
And it looks like log returns true if it did log and nil if it didn't log. That's supposed to be there. A little async going on.
Oh, that's cool.
All right, with sampling 50% and 1 per second rate limiting.
This is kind of nice that you can do like inline custom configuration for rare logging.
So if I keep evaluating it, it's like every other one. Interesting.
So
So if you have something that, like you're processing, like,
Yeah, like a whole bunch of data streaming in at you, like
and you only want to output, you know, uh,
a
telemetry
sample.
for 1% of it.
Yeah,
Huh.
this is easy. You don't have to go to like global config or anything like that. You just basically just specify it right here in the log call, which is pretty cool.
Interesting. I never thought about
so
that.
this is where the log is being called many times, but only a few times is it sending a signal out.
Yeah, so this
Yeah.
could be inside of a tight loop or like, some kind of you know, event handler or something like that. That's useful.
Interesting. Yeah. Feels weird to like lose data. Like I'm a, collect them all kind of a person. Um,
Yeah,
but
there's
then
such a
again, I
thing as
have
too
tons
much
of
though.
log messages. Yeah, well, there
Yeah, that's
definitely
true.
is. I'm always fighting with my ops guy he's always like, make fewer of these logs, and I'm like, but they're all so precious.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah, the filtering stuff is actually, I guess we're getting into that next, but that's actually pretty interesting.
yeah, definitely. But the fact that you
I'm,
can do that at the log call level, that's really cool. I think that's, yeah. Sorry, what were you gonna say, Evan?
oh no, I'm actually just curious because like, if we set the log level down below like whatever the threshold is in the configuration, I mean, you just proved that like it doesn't actually eval anything inside of the log call, which is nice. I'm wondering if filtering does that too. So like for instance, presumably you can do some more sophisticated filtering than just like log levels. And if that's the case, if it's smart enough to basically like not evaluate anything that basically doesn't pass the filter, that'd be neat. I guess it would have to evaluate the filter condition in order to, at the minimum. But aside from that, if it can basically reject stuff based on filter conditions, that could be neat. Just because sometimes like you want to sprinkle log messages everywhere, but you don't want to pay the cost for them necessarily if um, until you do, right? So,
And I like the whole like set NS filter, um, being able to dynamically enable and disable things. Because there's certain areas of code that I can think of, and it'd be really cool if you could filter more like on the data too. Because like I want to turn on debug logging for this account, and that account is going to be a particular key in the data.
mm.
So I want to turn it on for this namespace, but only if this part of the data matches. You know what I mean? Um, because I think that's a very real use case that we need and we will probably write to wrap around ulog. Um, so I wonder if there's like a filter with like, here's a function.
What about would the ID filter work like in the second one for your use case?
The ID filter, set NS. I wonder if there's so that's creating signals, checking signals, filtering. Provided to handle if and all the following conditions. Signal creation is allowed by compile time signal filters. Signal creation is allowed by runtime signal filters. Signal handling is allowed by runtime handler filters. Signal middleware does not suppress the signal. Handler middleware does not suppress the signal.
Ooh, we didn't even talk about
So there's
middleware.
some middleware as well.
That's a lot of layers.
Yeah.
into the architecture. Hey, look at that.
Ooh.
So here's signal filters, and then there's handler filters here. And then which eventually goes down to the handler FM. Okay, so it's all async. So that's a lot like mulog. Mulog is all async. So if you log, the event gets put in a queue and your code keeps going.
And that's the same here.
That looks like there's an async. This yellow layer is async queue.
Oh.
So the filters happen before the let stuff. Yeah, I wonder what other
So
kind
the
of
NS
filters
filter
there are.
yeah, the NS filter and the ID filter, I guess, are signal filters.
So that's signal namespace filter based on filter. It may be a namespace, string, regex, a vector, or allow and disallow. That's what that's doing. E/set, I guess, ID filter based on a given ID, regex pattern of IDs to allow a vector of regexes, or the same allow and disallow. So it doesn't look like there's arbitrary like FN filters, at least at this level.
I guess so, but like if your functions actually emit particular IDs, you could use the ID filter.
That's true. But if it's like the idea is message processed, and then it's like, but it's for this account, you wouldn't want to put the account name into the ID.
Yeah, you could, I guess.
Yeah, if you had to, I guess. But then you couldn't be like,
What do they
give me
mean
all the
by
authorities.
ID though here? Is it like just any, it says my particular ID. No, so that does the :I followed by D, is that got special meaning?
I think so. Yeah, because when the log gets emitted here, it actually gets the ID shows up in a special place, which is right before the log message.
Okay, in that case, maybe what Nate's asking for is like a data filter.
Yeah, that's what I had in mind.
Maybe there's one. I don't know. Is there one?
I would think it'd be pretty straightforward to add one because he has filtering for these other things. So it's although the data stuff wouldn't be fully resolved till after the signal filters, so it might have to be a handler filter.
Yeah, what's a handler filter?
Filter. Yeah, let's go back to this. Getting started. Filtering. Help filters for more about filtering. So I think you can do T/help. Sorry, help : filters. Get the same information. Handler filters. These are called when calling add handler or with handler. Signal filter should be at least as permissive as handler filters, otherwise signals will be suppressed before reaching the handlers, which makes sense.
Are they just predicate functions, or maybe we can look at
I
the
guess add
add
handler
handler
would
with
help us. Oops. Filter signals. Where were we at the top here? NS filter. Okay. There's T event. Is that going to be more like structured stuff? Event signal, emphasizing ID plus level. Event, my ID, data, message. It looks like it's it's a different way of constructing a signal. Interesting. And then this one is probably, yeah. If you just if you have an event with a message, it's like having a log with just a string. Interesting. Handlers, yeah, interesting. It's like I feel like there's like a explosion of possibilities. So there's T event, and this is demonstrating silhouette and the data, and then this is log. Which has my message, and then you can put data in there too, which ends up like this. Where's the data? There it is. And it logs it out like this. T error? What's T error? An error signal creator, emphasizing error plus ID. Oh, this would be the error. The exception. This is what it shows when you throw that. You get some nice chevrons here. Stack trace. So throwing an error with data. You get your log message and then the error after it. Stack trace inside of the event or the signal. Interesting. There's the data. Trace spy. Oh, it's spy. Python creator. Form plus level. So spy 1 plus 2
Oh,
gives us
interesting.
this. It's got the form, how long it took, the return, and the value type, return type.
What's the difference between trace and spy?
Question. Trace. Emphasizing form plus ID. You
Isn't
hear
it the
about
same thing as spy?
trace?
Or no?
There you go. Whenever use whatever signal is most convenient for your needs.
Oh, spy is.
So trace and spy both have the form result, but trace has an ID or emphasizes an ID, and spy emphasizes a level.
Got it. Okay.
So what's the level associated with trace?
There's no level associated with trace. I guess you could, if you wanted to, you could always add additional data
Probably.
in,
Yeah.
but like, otherwise it basically just defaults to allowing you to set an ID, an optional ID, I guess, as a first parameter.
Okay.
These are all
So the
convenience.
level seems to be what, info?
The
I
default, I
guess,
would guess, is info.
yeah, it
For
would default to
trace?
info. For trace, I guess it would default to info. I mean, it default to whatever's set up in the configuration, which I guess is info by default.
So spy, the default is level info.
Yeah.
And that's why this debug one doesn't run, because the default filter level is info. But trace, the level is info by default. So I wonder if you can say so ID and then level debug. Yeah, okay. So it's pretty much anything that you could by default pass in, you can use, you can put in part of the data, and it just gets merged in.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting because like they're separating all the different like intents, all the different use case intents.
Yeah, use cases.
Yeah. Which with other logging tools they don't really do. You basically just have like log messages for all these things. But then at the end of the day, all these get converted into signals, and then they go through the same path. But um, I guess there's something to be said for uh, capturing the intent up front.
Nate, can you put you had you said ID colon my ID level debug. Can you add a data something? Let's see.
Oh, gotta change this to info. So data should be right here. Generating a different UID for each one. Yeah, it is. And then timestamp.
And if you don't put the data, does it have a data? I mean, does this thing override whatever is there, or how does it?
I don't think there's a data by default. Oh, it's nil. Oh, okay. For trace, the message is like, here's the form. Interesting. So if I run this trace, yeah. So if you run that trace, you can wrap the trace around like something in a let block, and the data will be returned and bound correctly. So it's not like you have to set it to its own thing and debug it. You can just wrap a value or wrap a form in trace, and it'll log for you.
That's quite nice. And then presumably you could have some sort of filter that basically only logs based on like a certain value, a certain like parameter value or something like that inside the form.
Yeah. Very, very pluggable. This seems like a lot of like very low level pieces, and you can put it like it's a
Yeah.
default to do this, but I'm guessing you can take this default handler out and use your own one. Catch error, form value, or given fallback. So catch error. Is it like put a try catch around it, around the form? I think where the actual form is here. So you could use that and replace yeah, it would almost like replace try catch, I guess. This
Yeah,
catch
I'm
error.
wondering about that. How would you like what does this return? So if there is no error, what does it return?
Like if this is divide by 1, it doesn't avail. Oh, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't, it just returns the value.
Interesting. So and otherwise it'll return.
There's no exception thrown. It'll just return the value, looking at what the results of that form is.
Okay, and if there is an error, it'll log the error, I guess.
It'll emit a signal, right? I do, like if I run this with signal, you can see what it is.
That's interesting. So like you could replace your try blocks with this, and then like the catch blocks can be moved to the handlers, like the signal handlers.
I'm guessing this is because this is like it's going to catch anything and log it or signal it as maybe as the right nomenclature. This might be like a good for like um you could have try catch for the things that you know might happen and need specific handling. But if something happens that's outside of that, this would
Yeah,
catch. It's like a catch-all.
right.
Maybe that would be the use case I can think of. Unexpected exceptions. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So Nate, what happened when you did divide one by one? Did it return one, or what did it do?
Oh, maybe you could try that again and then remove the with signal.
I just run this.
Yeah.
It just is one is the result.
Okay.
No. But with signal should do nothing. Yeah, because nothing. No, nothing was logged, but we lost
Nothing
the
was
one
because
value.
there was no signal generated, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Filter signals. Set min level info.
Which
Is
I think it's
there
already
a
set to.
get min levels? Min level is error. Runtime is error. So this should do nothing. And that do nothing. Then if I set it to debug, that one, oops. I need to actually run it. And then the info and debug both logged out. Override global minimum level. Ah, nice. So for a certain section of code, you can be like, this is higher. You wrap it for a certain. Deny all signals in matching namespace. What namespace are we in? Telemere. So let's say Telemere. If I try to log nothing.
I
Get
like this API. This is nice.
So now I can't log anymore. Allow. Okay. Nice to be able to see what the NS filters are.
Oh yeah. There's a get filters.
Oh, there it is. So if I do deny. NS filter, deny telomere, min level info. Okay. What does set NS filters do? You can give it a namespace or an actual string with
Can you
stars,
try set NS filter to open close, just the without anything there? I mean, I'm wondering if it gets back to a default.
Allow spec and disallow spec cannot be nil.
No.
Wonder if so you can do just the, so if we just do just telomere. Okay, that didn't, oh,
What does that mean?
the NS filter is telomere. I wonder if that means that I
Is that
can
allowed or
only,
denied?
I wonder if I can,
I
it
think
means I
that's
can
to
only
allow.
log from Telemere. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, that makes
Other,
sense.
let's just add this here.
I was just wondering if there was a way to get back to the state where the NS filters was empty.
Right. Oh. Oh. Yeah, so I can't log from other. If I set the NS filter to star, now I can. And the log filters, NS filter is star. But I don't know if there's a way to be like, just do nothing or allow everything. I mean, I guess that would be the way to allow everything is just star.
Mm.
Okay, but supposing no one had, you have a brand new thing and no one has ever done a set NS filter.
Right.
Do you want to try
And,
set NS filter nil? Maybe that'll do it. Oh, that worked.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's sort of what I was trying to get
So
at.
now can I log from here? Yes. Log from here. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So nil deletes the
Okay.
NS filter. Deny from other. Allow for myself. Yes. Okay. Configuring handlers. Create a test signal. Okay. Create console handler with default options. If docstring returns a handler that takes a telemere map and writes the signal to as a string to a specified stream. Defaults to error. Output FN. So that's a formatting function. Not a filter, it's a formatting function. Interesting. Okay. So we have a handler now. Test handler, remembering it's just a FN signal. Okay, so my handler. That's cool that the handler is just a function.
Mm.
Create console, which writes signals as Eden. Output FN. Oh, here you go, output FN. So if I set the output FN to the PR signal FN. Okay, so my handler again. And it writes it out as it PRNs it. So in theory, you could make it like like this in code that, or in code. if you wanted to write it out as JSON, right? Oh, create console that writes signals as JSON. Require JSONista. I don't have JSONista on my path. Let's see, JSONista. Where art thou? I'm not using the ad lib feature. Is that in Clojure 112 or is that? I forget. I forget what version adds that.
I
Is it
think it's
112?
in
I think it's
112,
111.
yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, what feature? Sorry.
The ad lib where you can add a library to your dependencies without restarting a REPL.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now I can do require JSONista. Yeah, okay. So you make a oh, here you go. PR signal FN, PRFN. Oh, CLJS use JSON. Otherwise, for CLJ, do write value as string. Interesting way of
So the whole PR signal function thing. What's the point of this? Is it? I mean, you don't need to use that, right? Because the output function can just be a regular function that takes in a signal, but the signal function looks like it has some options to be able to.
like if we did that, that should just work, right? Yeah. But if the PRFN is set to
I think the PR signal function by default like omits uh some some things inside of the signal, some keys inside of the signal. Is that right? Looks like it includes, I mean, by default does not include user level key values or keys with nil values.
so it's got some munging of the data before it passes it off to
So
the
presumably if you don't use that, you'll get a much longer uh, log message than you would otherwise.
yeah, well,
Yeah, because
so
it
let's
has all,
go. So let's say it's got data, right? So if we make that one, this is the one with um the wrap
yeah,
the right.
with the PR signal function, yeah. So it
So
only
now if we
has basic stuff in there.
if we do this,
Yeah, it's got like
This, it's a much longer.
location, yeah, line, column, all that stuff.
Let's have the data in it though.
Yeah.
This one has the line namespace.
Okay.
So that's that one. Let's see, schema, inst, message, ns, column, level, line, ID, kind, and data. So what did we lose? We lost location, KVs, run form.
All
This
the
looks
null
like a lot of
values.
like, this looks like a lot of, well, it's all the null stuff.
Yeah. And the thread information.
Interesting. Parent. Yeah, I think that makes sense to take out all the nils. Because they're effectively nil, I mean, they're nil, so they're no data. What was the other thing you said? User level key values.
Oh, like the last one, include keys. It says by default, it says subset of signal keys to retain from those otherwise excluded by default. So it looks like location, KVs, file, and thread are excluded by default.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can see that. Include terminating system new line. Include signal keys with no values. Okay. Okay, so we have that. Not to mention it lets you do, although I guess this would be fine to put at the top level. But the colon.json apparently only works with JavaScript, because in JavaScript you have a JSON parser and emitter built in, but in Clojure you don't. Cool, how's everybody doing? Should we keep going a little longer?
I'm good. There's not too much left on there, is there?
I think we're getting pretty close.
Yeah.
Writing handlers. Deafin handler colon my handler. Needs some lib, returns, takes a telemetry singer, does something with it. Do option validation of prep here. Try to keep expensive work outside the handler function. Okay, that makes sense. And then you let a handler fn that takes the signal and optional arity for handlers that need to close, release resources, or otherwise finalize themselves during system shutdown. Oh, like a zero arity of a function as a way of closing resources, like closing database connection or shutting down your Kafka producer. So the handler returns a function. Okay. Evaluate that. Oh. I don't have Encore. Encore. Oops, that's not gonna work. Oh, what's Encore? Trying to find. Oh, that one's so cool.
Wait, but this is a more complicated handler, right? A normal handler is just a simple function. But this function, this higher order function, I guess, that is for, at least I'm reading the documentation. If you go to handlers in the wiki.
Yes, that's a plan.
If you scroll down, there's a writing handlers.
Simple telemetry handler.
Yeah,
There
that's
you
a
go.
lot
That makes
simpler.
sense.
Yeah.
For more complex cases, or where you want to make it available for use by other folks, there's a template. Then that's what we looked at right there.
Yeah, yeah.
File handler. Nice. So what are the default handlers we get? Console, handler console, console raw, file, open telemetry. Postal. Oh, wow. Slack. TCP socket, UDP socket. Upcoming handlers, Carmine. That's Redis. And Logstash.
That's cool. It's just a function, so I think it'd be pretty easy to make a handler for, whatever you wanted to send stuff to. So we have to register the handler, right? So how does that happen? Did we go over that part already?
Well, this handler over here, handler my handler. Oh, it just goes on a message building. Yeah, that's it. I don't know. There's add handler.
Oh, okay.
Is there a get handlers? Ah, here we go. Oh, just the one. Console. So then if we do p/remove handler, handler ID.
Default console, I think.
Like default console. No handlers. So if I go to log something, nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
So then t/add handler.
Presumably, like
handlers. Yeah, hopefully
all the
there's like
handlers
a
would receive all the signals, I guess, right? So if like there are multiple handlers, I guess they would all get invoked. Actually,
yes, I believe so.
and then handler options. There's some kind of like filters, right? We can put in here too to.
Yeah, there's supposed to be handler filters. Handler dispatch options includes dispatch priority. Oh, the order in which handlers are called, handler filtering, and the middleware, view semantics, back pressure ops.
Hmm.
So help handler dispatch ops. Ooh, wow. Dispatch options can be provided for each single handler when calling add handler. Async. Okay, so that's configuring, I'm guessing, the core async thing. Need stopping. Priority. Sample rate.
Does it use core sync?
I would
Anyway,
assume so, but yeah, yeah. I was just assuming because it said in the architecture it was a/sync q, like as in core async. A is alias for async. Although number of threads, this is more than just.
okay, not a big deal. I was just curious. I mean, but
Yeah.
it's doing
No,
some kind
no.
of async queuing. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
using core async or not, but
Drain msex. Maximum time to allow pending execution requests to complete during JVM shutdown. That's really useful because ulog, sometimes if you're logging something and the JVM exits, you'll lose the last couple of logs because they were in the queue and hadn't been processed yet. So this looks to like try to hold the JVM off at bay. I assume, I don't know. I'm just guessing.
actually, this is maximum time, so I don't know. It might just be like if it's trying to log stuff and it takes longer than 6 seconds, it'll just kill things and not even try to log things. So
Yeah. Needs needs stopping.
okay, yeah, down below it says
Priority.
like kind filter, NS filter, ID filter, and min level. So those are, I guess, the same filters that we saw before, but you can set them on an individual handler. So that's kind of nice too.
We'd seen set NS filter, ID filter, and min level, but we hadn't seen set kind filter before.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Wonder what that is. Set kind filter. Based on a given kind filter.
Oh, because there's different kinds. Like, remember we were going because like there's like spy or trace or error or log, all those different use cases that we were talking about. Those are kinds in the signal.
Yeah. Different kinds is in the different kinds of signals. Okay.
Yeah.
So no generic, or what then? Must return truthy for handler to be called. When present, called after
Oh,
sampling and other filters. There you go.
oh, okay.
So you could do a when FN that checks if the ID or the account ID is in a certain is in an atom, and then you can add and remove from that atom, so you don't have to like rejigger the handlers every time you change your filter.
Hmm.
So add FN, add filter, add handler, I mean, handler ID, handler FN. So I wonder how can we, because so right now we have no handlers. So I wonder how we can get back to having the handler. I guess it would you say add handler, handler
Yeah.
ID. So, and then T slash handler colon console. And then if I log again, oh,
Looks like it's there. Did it not work? I didn't see.
right here, we didn't get the log.
Oh,
What was the was level at the top level here? Like what level to async need stopping priority sample rate? Well, let's see. What was it before? This is what it was before, and this is what it is now.
handler function's different. What's going on?
Do I
Oh,
call it?
what?
If I
Maybe?
move it, get handlers, nothing. And then here, if I, no, I got this other.
Did you
Tracking
call it the
log.
first time or you didn't call it, right?
Ah, well, there you go. Calling it. No, I didn't before. Oops, come on.
Oh, but it worked this
Before
time.
I didn't do this. But this time I called it like this.
Yeah, okay, okay. Well, maybe thandler console actually accepts some arguments too. I think it does. Like we saw that before. If you wanted to create your own console handler, like you could pass options
Yeah,
into.
oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's cool. All right, we're back to
Functioning.
yeah.
So the dispatch ops are, what was that again? When if n. Let's see if we can do when if n.
I'm gonna do something that maybe looks at the data inside the signal to see if
Yeah. So I want to see like uh when event data account ID equals 123. So delete the handler, add the handler. Oh, when if n.
yeah. You don't actually need the when. You can just have the condition, but it's fine.
Ah, oh, you are so correct. Ah, Let's do that instead. Okay, we have that. Now we can do t/event. And this will be like meetup event data. Did we put the so data foo? This is data already, right?
I don't remember. What
No,
is the signal return?
data is another, like the data is going to be
Oh,
in the
gotcha.
key.
Yeah, right.
So we go data
Account ID.
ID is 1, 2, 3.
Says true. So the signal is. Wait, should it be log? What's going on?
Yeah, you'd think the handler console or the console log will be there. Let's just do this thickness.
Wait, do with signal on the T event and see what the signal
That's a
actually
good
looks like.
idea. Yeah,
Oh, the account ID is there.
And it's emitted. Because if it was hidden, then it would be nil.
Yeah, that's
It
true.
was sending it through.
Maybe the can you print the event before you actually evaluate the.
The documentation has like a def handler, and then you call the handler directly. But are you registering the handler?
Like this right here.
Like def. I'll have to look. Hold on.
Move the handler. Get the handler. Handlers are nil. Add handler. The PRN did not happen.
Huh. What? Wait, is that option map in the right place? In the add handler call?
Good question. Oh, here, let me ID the viewer add handler. That one. Dispatch ops.
Oh, it is there. Okay. Dispatch ops.
So I assume that it would be a map at the end like this. And if you do get handlers, there's a when if n. Dispatched ops. Yeah, it's one of the keys in dispatch ops is when if n.
Wait, how did you print out the dispatch ops? What did you do?
This is get handlers.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Optional nullary, a nullary function. Oh, I think this is, yeah, fn allow. It's a null. It's a zero arg function. So it's like if you want to turn the filter on and off, but it can't, but this is not take the event.
Oh,
One second.
okay, so it's not really a filter. Oh, okay, okay. So we can't do it that way. All right, I mean, you could maybe use like, I don't know, maybe ID filter or something like that instead, where you explicitly log in the looks like you can't really construct a filter to look at the data then? Is that what we're saying? Yeah, I guess you could use middleware instead. Yeah. Maybe what you can do is if the account ID is equal to 123, you can like override the level to debug or something like that instead of.
Yeah, that's true. You could alias it. Yeah. Let me try this real quick and then we can try that one. So if we say 123 is what it's looking for. And then 124. One 24. I mean, is there anything wrong with this logic here? So when the return nil if the when right nil is the else, right?
Right. Wait, what are you trying to do?
So the middleware says when middleware returns nil, skips handler.
Oh, okay. So you wanted to skip it
If it's not
the account ID
123.
is not 123.
Right. So like if this account ID
So
is 124. Oh.
Or you could just use not equal instead of the when also. But yeah.
No. But then if it's 123, oh,
Oh, this is middleware. It's got to return a signal, right? It's returning a transform signal.
either a transform signal or nil.
Or yeah, yeah, okay, right. Yeah, this looks fine.
This should be that. Yeah.
Is it not doing the thing or what's happening? Did you remove
It
the handler
doesn't
and then add it
result.
back in?
Yeah, let me try. Remove the handler, no handlers, and then add the handler. And we have a middleware.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I
Are
didn't
those
do
the
the right that
PRNs
way.
that are inside the middleware that we're
Yeah,
seeing?
that's what these two are.
Okay, and so we didn't actually see a console out from the
That's the weird thing is we haven't seen a console out for either of them. We know the signal is emitted, but it's not actually running the handler.
wait, change the event to 123. Let's see if it works this time.
Oh yeah. So the
Oh, it did
signal
work.
is created, but it's not the ice. So with signal gives you back this event no matter what, but the handler didn't run before. So if I pull this up here, here's with 124 and 123. 123 actually did
Yeah,
invoke the handler.
right.
There's a with
Okay.
handler macro too.
Oh, okay, yeah. If we wanted to test like an individual handler, yeah.
So is it clear the add handler will add the handler immediately and sort of work? Or is it a start stop system thing?
It
If
looks
I
like it
take
works.
these PRs
Yeah,
out,
it looks like it works immediately. We
remove,
just had to
add,
update it. Sorry.
yeah. So I took out the PRs, and if I run the T event with 123, it prints it, and with 124, the T event doesn't print it. There you go. So that's how you would do a data filter, which I think is super cool. That's a very, I think it would be good at some point for the library to have like an arbitrary signal, an arbitrary filter, because that's what it is. I'm using middleware for a filter. But I mean, at least we have the ability to do something. So
I missed it. When fun made sense to me reading, but that wasn't working.
Yeah, that I don't really know when you would use that. I mean, it seems a little odd. It would be nice if it took an argument. It took the signal as an argument, but it doesn't do that.
Oh, it's just in the middle of whatever, so you need to grab context somewhere else.
I guess so. Yeah.
yeah, it would be like only log or only use this appender when like it looks at an atom or something. It looks at some external thing because
Yeah, something
it's a
that you
null
know is,
function.
yeah,
So it's a
okay.
null, yeah. So it's a different kind of spigot or faucet. Um,
Huh.
all right. I think we've gotten to past 8 o'clock now. My
Yeah.
lights went out.
Well, thanks,
But it
Nate.
seems like a really cool library. I really like that all that everything is clean data. There's no namespaces. Um
Yeah, I like
Like-
it too. I mean, I think I like that they. I don't know. We actually covered a whole bunch of different use cases too. I mean, I think like this kind of opened my eyes to like how I could use this. This is like way more. It seems way more useful to me than just like a raw like I don't know. Logs and log levels I think are a bit too coarse grained to some extent, like for a lot of the use cases that I want to use it for. And this is a lot more, I guess, programmable. I mean, you can kind of really do some more detailed filtering within the logging system itself, rather than actually like having to like wrap your log statements with a bunch of conditional logic or whatever else. So that's kind of nice. Pretty cool.
And coming from experience with Mulog, all of the Mulog maps, it's like instead of namespace, it's mulog/namespace. It's mulog/everything. And so when you go to look at like query your log events, you're not looking for event name, you're looking for a mulog/event name. So like mulog, the name mulog is inserted everywhere as a namespace. There might be a way of configuring that we missed, but I like that not being in here because it feels like it's a little more agnostic to the independent of the library name. Cool.
Cool.
Well, thanks for joining. That was fun.
Yeah, thanks.
Seems like a really useful library.
Thank you, Nate. Yeah, it looks really good. Worth a try.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good to see you, Jacob. It's good to
Yeah,
see
it's
you,
been a while.
Dorab, and Edwin too, but and Tim, but I hadn't seen Jacob in a while, so good to see everyone. Have a good rest of your month. We'll see you next month.
Later.
Easy. Bye-bye.
Bye,
All
Nate.
right, bye.
Bye, everyone.